Welcome to Catholic Views. I'm your host, Casey Bassett. Renee is still out on vacation, much-needed vacation. In the studio today, we're going to be looking or talking with Father Mike Wensing about his vocation story. Got some very interesting experiences in his youth and in his time in seminary and after he was ordained. So that'll be part one of two parts with him, and it's a great conversation. Make sure you stick around for that. But first, Biblical Bites with Dr. B.
I was concerned that you just looked at Father Mike for like 20 minutes.
I almost thought about stopping it, but no. we pushed through.
Push through. So, Casey, that's for Elise right there. What is today in the church year?
It is Christ the King, the last...
No. What is today? I mean, okay. You were right. If this was 2010, you'd be right. But it's not 2010. That was 12 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm going to get a lesson here, I feel like.
It was.
I don't know. You're going to have to...
It is the solemnity of our Lord Jesus Christ, King of the universe.
Yes. Okay.
He has the power. That's a shout out to He-Man, the cartoon from the early 80s, Elise. Another story. So, you were going to say Christ the King, last Sunday of the church year. So it is the last Sunday of the church year. Not the, it's one of the tricky things. It's not the last day of the church year, though. That's Saturday.
Yes.
Saturday will be the last day, but it is the last Sunday of the church year, the last week of the church year coming up here. But the new translation, which way back we got in 2011, actually, our Lord Jesus Christ, King of the universe, which I just like. That's just so literally
rich.
Magnificent.
Yes.
So the first reading for Mass today is from 2 Samuel. In those days, all the tribes of Israel came to David in Hebron and said, "Here we are, your bone and your flesh." So we're all family. In days past, when Saul was our king, so Saul had been the first king of the Israelites, it was you, David, who led the Israelites out and brought them back. And the Lord said to you, "You shall shepherd my people Israel, and shall be commander of Israel." When all the elders of Israel came to David in Hebron, King David made an agreement with them there before the Lord, and they anointed him king of Israel. So, just quick history there. Going back to Saul, the previous king. Prior to Saul, the Israelites had been ruled by the judges. So this is after the Exodus, the people 40 years in the desert with Moses and so on. They cross into the Holy Land by Joshua. They conquer the Holy Land for the most part. And then they're ruled by judges. Each tribe had judges. They're kind of ruling. But there's no one dominant ruling figure. The Israelites kind of look around like, hey, everybody else is a king. I want a king. What, can we have a king too? Why don't we? So the Lord's, all right, fine. Saul becomes their king. But Saul starts to get a little wobbly, starts to go sideways. So God tells the prophet Samuel, "I want you to go to Bethlehem, and there in the house of Jesse, you will find the next king who I will choose." Like, yeah, these people, my people wanted a king. They weren't happy with me. I'm kind of breaking into a New York accent there.
I like it.
They want a king. I wasn't good enough for them. So they chose Saul, but I've got somebody else in mind for next. So we read about this in 1 Samuel. It's David. Now, so David starts with Saul ruling. Things go bad. Right. David now becomes the new king. Okay. Again, what is today's solemnity?
Solemnity of Jesus Christ.
Our Lord Jesus Christ, King of the universe.
There we go.
Okay. So you can see where this is going.
Right.
Jesus is going to be the king. But then the gospel reading. Here's the gospel reading. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You're going to know. Tell me as soon as you know where this is from, Casey. The rulers, this is Luke's gospel. The rulers sneered at Jesus and said, "He saved others." What?
Crucifixion.
The crucifixion. So the church presents for us Jesus, this solemnity, not feast solemnity, in which we're remembering Jesus as king, presents for us his death on the cross. So here's the rest of the reading. He saved others, let him save himself if he is the chosen one, the Christ of God. So the Christ of God. This word could be, the Christ is the anointed one. It's the Messiah. Okay. Christos means Messiah. The Messiah is the new David. So if he is the Christ, means if he is the Messiah, means if he is the new David, means if he is the king. If he is the chosen one, the Christ, the Messiah, the king of God, established by God. Even the soldiers jeered at him as they approached him to offer them wine. They called out, "If you're the king of the Jews, save yourself." Above him, there was an inscription that read, "This is the king of the Jews." Now, one of the criminals that hanging in there said, "Are you not the Christ, the king? Save yourself." The other one said, "What are you doing? Stop that." And then said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom."
Okay.
So what I love about this, so first of all, just that clarification, basically when we say Jesus Christ, what we're basically saying is, in a Jewish context, Jesus the Messiah, Jesus the King. We're saying Jesus Christ is basically King Jesus.
Okay.
So we had the first reading where David is having been already anointed by God by means of Samuel. Now the people anoint him, and he definitely becomes the king. So now Jesus is the new Davidic king who established who he doesn't establish his kingdom here, but where his kingship is revealed on the cross. When you think of the king being unveiled, you don't think of it being nailed to a cross. But this is where God, as he so often does, flips the script in terms of our expectations. For Jesus Christ, and he will reign triumphantly, gloriously. We're actually going to get more into that next week, actually in Advent. Mm-hmm. Jesus will come again at the end of time. But it begins by him stretching out his arms on the cross with the sign, which is the truth, over his head. This is the King of the Jews.
Wow. Very insightful, Dr. B. Thanks.
You bet.